blind, have low vision, or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Dzień dobry. This is Joanne Yanitsky, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the March 5th, 2026 issue of the Am-Pol Eagle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Well, I smell spring. Spring is definitely in the air. I've got a dandelion in bloom in my front lawn. I'm not happy about it, but it tells you something. It tells you I've got weeds in my front lawn. No, seriously, we're getting there. I just saw something, and I don't remember where I read it. Could have been the Buffalo News, about the fact that winters are getting shorter. So as a gardener, I can attest that something goes on. Certainly in October and November, we don't get snow as early, we don't get bitter cold as early, and now again, here we are in March, and people are ready to go and start gardening. But don't do it. It's way too soon. Okay, front page, Am-Pol Eagle. We got some photographs here. The first photograph, I guess all of them, are by Christine Palchevsky, and a religious artistic piece of history. On Sunday, March 1st, 2026, the Roman Catholic Church celebrated the Transfiguration. This feast provides a glimpse of Jesus' transformation, the transformation that he will undergo at his resurrection. St. Stanislaus Church proudly displayed a restored mural depiction of the Transfiguration. This mural hung above the high altar in Transfiguration Church, located on Sycamore Street in Buffalo. Transfiguration Church closed in 1991 and was sold to a private investor in 1994. Only portions of the building remain, as the edifice's roof was damaged in a windstorm. Sviatek Studios repaired and restored the Transfiguration mural. I think it's pretty big. Kind of hard to tell. There are some candles to put it in perspective, but it's hard to tell how tall the candles are as well. It is a lovely, lovely mural. And then below the photo of the mural, the photos show the inside of Transfiguration Church, the high altar, and these photos are from the parish's Golden Anniversary book. And then there is a photo of how it looked after the roof collapsed during a windstorm, November 15th to 16th in 2020. And it literally just caved in. Sad to see. And that the windstorm photo is an Am-Pol Eagle file photo. Moving right along. Reverend Mazer appointed new PACWNY chaplain and director. Polish American Congress, Western New York Division, announced Father Jacek Mazur has been appointed chaplain and director of the Polish American Congress, Western New York Division, Incorporated. Father Mazur will fill the vacancy that resulted from the passing of Reverend Dr. Czesław Krysa. Father Mazur is the parochial vicar for the greater East Buffalo family of parishes that include St. Stanislaus, St. John Gualbert, St. Adalbert, St. Catherine Drexel, and Corpus Christi. Born in Poland, Father Mazur graduated in 2000 3 from Saints Cyril and Methodius Seminary in Michigan. In 2004, he was ordained to the priesthood in Buffalo. Prior to his position in Buffalo, Father Mazur was the pastor of Divine Mercy and St. Mary of the Cataract in Niagara Falls. PACWNY President James L. Levitsky II remarked, quote, "We are excited to have Father Mazur as our chaplain and board member. With his love of the Catholic faith and passion for Polish culture, he will be a tremendous asset to our organization." End quote. Event to celebrate Revolutionary War heroes and Chopin is March 22nd. A celebration of the birthday of Frédéric Chopin and a commemoration of Revolutionary War heroes on America's 250th anniversary is a special event honoring Revolutionary War heroes Thaddeus Kosciuszko, his aide-de-camp Agrippa Hull, and Kazimir Pulaski. The multifaceted program of music and more will be held at the Montante Cultural Center of Canisius University, 2001 Main Street, Buffalo, New York, on Sunday, March 22nd, 2026 at 2:30 p.m. The program will feature music by Chopin, rarely performed music of Kosciuszko, patriotic music, a visit from Agrippa Hull, played by actor Charles Everhart, poetry of Phyllis Wheatley, the first African-American author to publish a book of poetry, letters of Chopin, and a display of memorabilia related to the celebration. Featured performers, along with Everhart, include the Chopin Singing Society, the Canisius University Chorale, both under the direction of Dr. Brad Wingert, and pianist Karen Schmid, Melanie Bebach, and Michael Sigan. A reception will follow. The event is free and open to the public. It is sponsored by the Polish Arts Club of Buffalo, the Permanent Chair of Polish Culture at Canisius University, and the Chopin Singing Society. Ample parking is available in lots and on the streets. The program is made possible in part from a grant from the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Arts and Culture Initiative administered by the Community Foundation for Greater Buffalo. Excuse me. The Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Arts and Culture Initiative was established at the Community Foundation to support arts and culture in the 8 counties of Western New York, plus Monroe County, in recognition of the key role arts and culture organizations play in a thriving economy. Organizers get ready for the 20th Dingus Day Parade. From the first year of the parade in 2007, which consisted of 30 units, the annual Dingus Day Parade now consists of well over 125 participating groups and floats moving along Broadway and attracting thousands of spectators and garnering international publicity for Buffalo, New York. Organizers say early indications are the 20th annual Dingus Day Buffalo Parade on Monday, April 6th, 2026, starting at 5:30 p.m., will be even bigger and better. According to Nancy McCarthy, Dingus Day USA Vice President and Creative Director, quote, "We began getting calls in October about participation in the Dingus Day Buffalo Parade. People from as far away as Florida and New Mexico are planning trips to Buffalo at Easter specifically so they could take part in the 20th anniversary," end quote. Eddie Dobashevich, Dingus Day USA president, says, quote, "The people that come to the parade or any of the official parties, whether they be in the tented festival grounds, church halls, or family-owned taverns, are able to walk the streets of the historic Polonia district and experience an atmosphere that a few short years ago was unimaginable. Albeit it's only one day on the calendar, we know for a fact that many come back throughout the rest of the year." Whether it's for a Friday fish fry, a mass at one of the beautiful historic churches, some grocery shopping at the Broadway Market on a Saturday morning, or an urban exploration on a bicycle during the summer, we know they are slowly but surely rediscovering what this area once was and its potential for reinvention. He continues, although Dingus Day is deeply rooted in Polish tradition, what we have done here on the southeastern shore of Lake Erie has taken our Pussy Willow party to a whole new level. We have made it uniquely our own, which is why Buffalo, New York has become the Dingus Day capital of the world. End quote. As part of the festivities on the east side, once again this year, serious runners and fun lovers of all ages will gather at the Circle on Memorial and Paderewski Drive for the second annual Dingus Day Dash, a 3-mile run through historic Polonia district starting at noon and followed by a good old-fashioned hot dog roast and award ceremony inside the main stage tent at Pussy Willow Park near the Central Terminal, courtesy of Redlinski Meats, along with plenty of other treats courtesy of Tops Friendly Markets and Wright Beverage. The Dingus Day Dash starts at noon and is open to runners and walkers of all ages. Before and after the parade, more than a dozen different venues throughout the area will be hosting celebrations featuring local and national polka artists, authentic Polish cuisine, and traditional folk dance groups, all connected by a fleet of shuttle buses transporting party goers between venues throughout Western New York. This year's headliner on the main stage near the Central Terminal at Memorial and Paderewski Drive will be 18-time Grammy winner Jimmy Sturr and his orchestra, with special guest Chris Caffery of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. To register for the race, the parade, or for more information and details, visit www.dingusday.com. No space for Dingus Day, but you knew that. Okay, on to Polish news bites. Poles debate ban on social media for youth. Poland's governing coalition's largest party is preparing legislation to ban children under 15 from using social media platforms, a move aimed at addressing concerns over online addiction, mental health, and digital safety. The proposed policy would affect popular services such as Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, and YouTube, and is expected to spark debate with tech companies and civil liberties advocates. Supporters argue the measure would protect children from harmful online content and improve well-being, while critics warn it could limit freedom of expression and complicate enforcement. Opposition parties have called for broader consultations and alternative measures that focus on digital education and parental control tools. Government officials say the proposal still requires refinement and stakeholder engagement before being formally introduced in Parliament. Poznan Furniture Fair draws international business. The Meble Polska 2026 Furniture Trade Fair wrapped up February 27th at the Poznan International Fairgrounds, reinforcing its reputation as one of Europe's premier industry events. Over 4 days, 400 companies from 22 countries engaged in high-level negotiations, product showcases, and networking sessions. Organizers reported a strong turnout, with international participation significantly higher than in past editions. Sector leaders described the fair as a key platform for expanding export opportunities, particularly amid rising demand for sustainable and innovative furniture design. Exhibitors highlighted trends toward eco-friendly material and digital fabrication technologies. Espionage arrest underscores rising security concerns. Polish authorities detained a Belarusian national suspected of spying for Minsk's military intelligence in a case that authorities described as part of a broader effort to counter foreign destabilization efforts. Prosecutors said the individual was arrested on suspicion of collecting information that could harm Polish national security, though specific details of alleged espionage activities were not immediately disclosed. Poland's relations with Belarus have been strained for years, particularly since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Warsaw has repeatedly warned that Minsk, closely aligned with Moscow, poses security risks to NATO's eastern flank. Officials in Warsaw linked the arrest to heightened vigilance against hybrid threats, espionage, and influence operations targeting Poland and other NATO members. Let's take our first break. You are listening to a reading of articles and features. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Am-Pol Eagle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Let's see what the editorial is about today. Going to take us to the Vatican, apparently. A call for help to the Vatican. New visions, journey in faith and grace, and the road to renewal. The Am-Pol Eagle believes these, quote, processes were flawed in execution, failed to reinvigorate the Roman Catholic Church in Western New York, and were more likened to corporate resizing than re-evangelization. If you don't agree, just visit the diocese website for the road to renewal. The subheadings under right size and reshape documentation are Pillar Revamped Summary, Guide for Parish Mergers Closures, Lease Guidelines, Parish Appeal Guidelines, Financial and Budget Guidelines, Asset Guidance Scenarios, Merger Date Guidelines, New Wine, New Wineskins Flyer, and a Secondary Worship Site Definition. Save Our Buffalo Churches, SOBC, recently has made some harsh charges against Bishop Michael Fisher and the diocesan leadership. They include mismanagement, misrepresentation, and, quote, malevolence toward the spiritual health of our clergy and all Catholics, end quote. SOBC started a petition drive for a Vatican investigation. The diocese, in its statement, did refute the mismanagement and misrepresentation. We felt, however, it and the 3 downsizing programs failed to address the most important point, the spiritual health of our clergy and all Catholics. Because of the way the Diocese of Buffalo operates, we are not sure about the degree of its mismanagement, misrepresentation, and malevolence as alleged by the SOBC. We are sure there is a lot wrong, and oversight from the Vatican with divine intervention wouldn't hurt. Thoughtful. Let's see here. Malkowska will discuss poetic translations at UB. There is a photograph of a lovely young woman. And of course she's lovely. Her name appears to be Joanna. Malkowska will discuss poetic translations at UB. University at Buffalo Poetics Plus will present Beyond Felt Facts, documentary assemblages, nomadic translations, and global crises with Joanna Malkowska on Thursday, March 12th, 3 to 4:30 p.m., the UB Poetry Collection, 420 Capon Hall. Moving between the interrelated practices of poetry translation and poetics research, Malkowska's talk will first take up her translations into Polish of Natalie Diaz's post-colonial love poem and Claudia Rankine's Citizen, and then discuss her current book project on documentary assemblages as a form of protest and resistance. tracing the documentary impulse from the 1930s to contemporary anti-war archival poetics in global context. Malkowska will also discuss how theories of montage, assemblage, and new materialism illuminate documentary literature's polyvocal and processual nature. Joanna Malkowska is an assistant professor at the University of Warsaw, a literary critic and a translator. She has translated into Polish Claudia Rankine's Citizen and Natalie Diaz's post-colonial love poem. Her essays have appeared in Modernism, Modernity, Arizona Quarterly, Women's Studies, the Routledge Companion to Ecopoetics, and elsewhere. Having been a Fulbright Scholar at the University at Buffalo and a postdoctoral fellow at Duquesne University, she is currently a visiting professor at Canisius University. Chopin's birthday celebrated on radio. The music of Poland's greatest composer, Frédéric Chopin, is featured during the most recent episode of the Polish-American radio program. Commentary about Chopin's life and art is provided by local musician and former classical music radio host Michał Zachowicz. The episode can be heard anytime online at polishprogram.com. Host of the Polish-American radio program is Andy Gołębiowski. Gołębiowski is planning 2 trips to Poland this year for listeners and friends of the program. For full itineraries and prices, contact Gołębiowski at Andy@polishprogram or phone number 716-510-7562. Again, 716-510-7562. Chopin was born March 1st, 1810 in Żelazowa Wola. Dr. Witkowski to direct Baroque-ish. The Amherst Chamber Ensemble Orchestra, led by its music director, Dr. Thomas Witkowski, is giving a free concert Sunday, March 9th at 3 p.m. at Trinity United Methodist Church of Amherst, 711 Niagara Falls Boulevard, just north of Longmeadow. The title of the concert is Baroque-ish, featuring Poulenc's Sinfonietta and Stravinsky's Suites No. 1 and 2. The orchestra will perform Vivaldi's Concerto in D minor for 2 violins, featuring Melissa Gould and Aaron Szymanski, and Handel's Concerto Grosso Opus 6 features Kaylee Marsh and Helen Smith. The concert is free to the public. Tay's service set. Assumption Church, 435 Amherst Street in Buffalo, will be holding a Lenten Tay's service on Monday, March 9th at 6:30 p.m. The service incorporates scriptures, readings, and repetitive music in a sacred setting with subdued lighting and a peaceful pace aimed at calming and centering the soul. All are welcome. St. Gabriel Church, 5271 Clinton Street in Elma, will host a theme basket raffle on Sunday, March 23rd. Doors open at 11:30 a.m., drawing at 2 p.m. It will feature over 200 baskets, side raffles, and a special blue balloon raffle. Lackawanna BOE meeting time change. The March 12th, 2026 Lackawanna Central School District Board of Education work session has been changed to a 5 p.m. start time. The March 12th, 2022 The March 12th, 2026 Board of Education regular meeting will be held immediately following the work session. All those events, and we are now just getting to Polonia's calendar. Okay. We have here Thursday, March 12th, Polish Census Records Then and Now by Tadeusz Pilat. This is at Erie One Bosse's, 355 Harlem Road in West Seneca, from 7 to 9 p.m. That address is right across from the SPCA. Can't miss it. Sunday, March 15th, corned beef and cabbage dinner and pot of gold raffle. Dinner includes corned beef, cabbage, potatoes, carrots, rye bread, dessert, and beverage. It's $18 a person. Children under 12 are $9. It's from 11:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon, or until it's sold out. St. Stanislaus, corner of Fillmore and Peckham. Eat in or take out. Tickets are available from ushers or at the rectory office. On Thursday, March 19th, PBW of Polonia meeting. Guest speaker Kathy Goller of Teal Horizon Coaching. It's at Polish Falcons, but it doesn't say which Polish Falcons. But you can call for reservations and find out. 716-725-7096. Again, 716-725-7096 for reservations and to find out where it is. Saturday, March 21st, Research Day at the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library with Polish Genealogical Society of New York State, 1 to 5 p.m. It's in the Grosvenor Room at the County Library at 1 Lafayette Square in downtown Buffalo, New York. Save the date. This is a big one. July 24th, 25th, and 26th, the Polish American Arts Festival in Cheektowaga Town Park. Polish food and beverage, music, crafts, dance groups, exhibits, lectures, demonstration, and more. Free admission. We know that's a big event and a fun event. Okay, now another calendar, but we're going back in history. The Week in the History of Buffalo's Polonia by Carl L. Buckeye. The following is a list of events that occurred during the week of March 5th to March 11th. On March 7th, 1976, an ecumenical prayer service is held at Holy Mother of the Rosary Cathedral of the Polish National Catholic Church. Gorzka Żale, a traditional Polish devotion, is celebrated, and the sermon is delivered by Monsignor John Gabalski, a Roman Catholic priest. On March 29th, 1929, at Dumpolsky Hall on Broadway, an audience of more than 900 people attended a lecture by Professor Eric Kelly of Dartmouth College. Fluent in Polish, Professor Kelly was the first American to receive an exchange fellowship from the Kosciuszko Foundation. He was also the author of The Trumpeter of Kraków, a book which won the Newbery Medal for Outstanding Children's Literature. And to wrap it up, March 11th, 1907, publication of the first issue of the Dziennik dla Wszystkich, a daily newspaper in the Polish language. And I hope I didn't do too badly on that Polish. I must confess, there were a lot of consonants in that name of the Polish newspaper. I'm going to try to squeak in a couple Lenten dining guide posts here. We have Polish Villa to you, Donovan Post / Foxhole. This is 3210 Genesee Street in Cheektowaga, New York. Fish fries Friday 4 to 8 p.m. You can dine in or take out, and you can support your veterans. Again, 3210 Genesee Street in Cheektowaga. We have the Wayside Family Restaurant serving the best fish fry in South Buffalo. Fresh haddock is available all week long. Takeouts are available. 2301 South Park Avenue. It's very close to the Botanical Gardens, and they do good work there. Great pies, great pies. I can't tell you how I know that. Okay, let's take our next break. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Am-Pol Eagle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Okay, this is going to bring us to Tom Tadapachki's Polonia Press Box. Photograph of Clint Kubiak, handsome young man. He's got a suit on and he's holding a football. There's also a photograph of Bill Mazeroski, and the photo is by Bazooka Trading Card. Let's see what Tom has to say. The son of a great NFL coach, Clint Kubiak, is getting his chance to lead his own pro football team. After helping Seattle to a Super Bowl title as the team's offensive coordinator, Kubiak, age 39, was named the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Clint worked with his father, Gary, both on the Broncos coaching staff in 2016 and the Minnesota Vikings in 2019 and 2020, when the elder Kubiak served as Vikings offensive coordinator. When Gary Kubiak stepped aside after the 2020 campaign, Clint became an NFL offensive coordinator for the first time. Quote, "I wouldn't be talking to you guys if it weren't for my dad. And obviously, I don't get to coach in the NFL at a young age without him allowing me to be on his staff," the younger Kubiak said. He continued, "Then you get on a staff like that, and you're the head coach's son, and you'd better make sure you make your dad proud. You don't want to be slacking it at all." End quote. Dad Gary met his wife, the former Rhonda Kaminsky, while both were students at St. Pius X High School in Houston. They have two younger sons, Clay, who is offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, and Klein, an area scout for the Dallas Cowboys. Clint mostly grew up in the Denver area, as his dad was the Broncos' backup quarterback, and then Gary later returned as the Broncos' offensive coordinator. A multi-sport athlete at Regis Jesuit High School, Clint played safety at Colorado State before entering coaching. Clint is known for being even-keeled and practical, as well as an offensive mastermind. He and second-year GM John Spitek have begun rebuilding the Raiders, which currently has the number 1 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. Basketball standout Jeremy Sohan decided to sign with the New York Knicks for the rest of the season, one of 10 NBA teams that sought his services. The 6'9" forward had requested and received his release from the San Antonio Spurs after getting reduced playing time. Sohan was drafted in the first round of the 2022 NBA draft with the ninth overall pick by the San Antonio Spurs. The 6'9", 19-year-old forward was born in Oklahoma to a Polish mother and an African-American father. Jeremy grew up mostly in England, but he spent his summer in Poland. In 2019, he led Poland's under-16 national basketball team to the title of the 2019 FIBA Under-16 European Championship Division B, earning MVP honors. He played one season for Baylor before being drafted. Known for his colorful hairstyles, Sohan will provide the Knicks with needed youth, athleticism, versatility, and size. Poland's youngest Winter Olympian just received another tribute. The Millennium Restaurant, located in the Italian town of Predazzo, site of the Olympic ski jumping arenas, served up a new delicacy, the Kasper Tomaszek pizza, featuring a traditional tomato base with mozzarella, topped with salami, bell peppers, sweet corn, and a drizzle of yogurt sauce. Its red and white color scheme is designed to resemble the Polish flag. Michel Zanotti, owner of the Millennium Restaurant, told Polish sportscaster TVP Sport that he's a big fan of ski jumping and wanted to pay tribute to Tomaszek, as well as the restaurant's many Polish patrons. At the Milan Games, the 19-year-old Tomaszek made history by becoming the first Pole to ever win 3 ski jumping medals at a single Olympics. Hall of Fame defensive lineman Joe Klecko recently received a pardon from President Donald Trump from a 1993 perjury charge. Klecko pleaded guilty to perjury in 1993 after lying to a federal grand jury that was investigating insurance fraud. The 72-year-old was pardoned along with 4 other former NFL players. A 3-time All-Pro, Klecko recorded 78 sacks with the New York Jets. He was inducted into the National Polish-American Sports Hall of Fame in 1999 and the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2023. Bill Mazeroski, known for his defensive prowess and for hitting the greatest home run in baseball history, has died at 89. The longtime Pittsburgh Pirate played in the big leagues from 1956 to 1972. Pirates chairman Bob Nutting said, quote, "Maz was one of a kind, a true Pirates legend, a National Baseball Hall of Famer, and one of the finest defensive second basemen the game has ever seen." End quote. Mazeroski was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown in 2001. In his career, he was a 7-time All-Star who hit the game-winning walk-off home run in the 9th inning of the Game 7 against the Yankees in the 1960 World Series. Quote, "Bill Mazeroski was synonymous with one of the greatest home runs in baseball history for more than 65 years," Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred said in a statement. He continued, "While his bat delivered the first walk-off series-ending home run in the history of our Fall Classic in 1960, it was Bill's glove that earned him recognition from the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2001. End quote. It was much earlier, in 1979, that he was inducted into the Polish-American Sports Hall of Fame. Okay. Just a couple more fish fry. We've got the Polish Nook. You can have breaded fish fry, baked fish, or pierogi. 2242 Cutterback Avenue in Niagara Falls. You can also do takeout. Scoob's Village Grill. Fish served 5 ways. Whoa. Beer batter, broiled, Cajun, Italian baked, and lemon pepper. Serving fish fry all day from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 50 Central Avenue in Lancaster, New York. Okay, moving right along. PBW of Polonia offers a $1,500 scholarship. The Professional and Businesswomen of Polonia is currently accepting applications for a $1,500 scholarship. The purpose and criteria of the scholarship is to assist women of Polish descent from Western New York currently enrolled in college or university studies. The deadline for the completed application is March 31st, 2026. You still have some time. The applications can be obtained from its website. No spaces until I tell you about the dot. Okay. pbwofpolonia.com. Again, pbwofpolonia.com. The scholarship presentation and dinner will be held on May 28th at Clocks Grove in West Seneca, New York. There is a photograph here, two of them actually. St. Casimir's feast day. The second son of King Casimir IV, Jagiellon, the future saint, was a Polish chronicler, diplomat, and priest. He became known for his piety, devotion to God, and generosity towards the sick and poor. His feast day is March 4th. There are more than 50 churches named after Casimir in Lithuania and Poland. Father Walter Grabowski, and he is in the photo below, celebrated Mass for St. Casimir's feast day at St. Casimir Church on Cable Street in Buffalo. He blessed the cups that will hold parishioners' monetary sacrifices. These sacrifices will then be placed at the tomb of Jesus on Holy Saturday and given to the parish food pantry. Letting children play is crucial for their development, says psychologist. Self-directed play is a key component of early childhood development and should be allowed to proceed without interruption so children can create their own scenarios and practice regulatory skills, according to research led by Natalia Józefacka, Ph.D., of SWPS University. The study was developed in early education and development by Józefacka from the university's Institute of Psychology and Beyza Hamamci, Ph.D. of Istanbul University. It is part of a broader project examining how self-regulation develops in children and how adaptation to environmental demands differs by age and gender. Quote, "We have known from the literature that the form of play changes with age, with the most intense age of play occurring during preschool years," Józefacka said in the university's press release. Most earlier studies were conducted in laboratory settings and focused primarily on play between two children or between a parent and child. The researchers examined how children play in a natural preschool environment in larger peer groups. They also sought to describe the course of a single play cycle, noting that it requires time to unfold, beginning with planning and organization, followed by development of the scenario, and ending when children lose interest and look for new activity. The study analyzed 93 Polish children aged 3 to 6 during a 30-minute free play session. The researchers assessed organization, defined as the quality and complexity of the narrative, elaboration of scenarios, including role-playing and attention to detail, and imagination reflected in creative use of objects. In a familiar preschool setting, children who knew each other were offered 3 play scenarios: a dress-up area with costumes, a construction area with Lego bricks, and a toy kitchen with plastic utensils and food. They received no instructions beyond being told they could play. The session was recorded on video. The results indicated that engagement follows a distinct rhythm rather than remaining constant. Peak involvement occurred between 10 and 15 minutes after the start of the play, regardless of gender. The researchers observed limited gender differences. Boys' engagement rose to a certain level and remained relatively stable until the end of the session. Girls' engagement increased more quickly and then declined to a similar level. Girls more frequently built complex narratives and paid closer attention to structure and detail, while boys more often chose action-oriented activities. Differences in imagination were minimal. Age was also a factor. 3-year-olds tended to play more spontaneously, but showed less stable engagement and lost interest more quickly. Children aged 5 to 6 maintained concentration for longer periods and demonstrated more structured play. Quote, "The period between 4 and 5 years of age is crucial for preschoolers. The older a child is, the better they can organize their play. Children aged 5 to 6 can become more engaged from the very beginning, and they can even remain engaged for longer than 30 minutes. With 3 to 4-year-olds, however, an element of boredom becomes apparent as time passes," Yosefachka said. The findings highlight the importance of allowing sufficient time for uninterrupted play. Quote, "Our results suggest that preschool education needs a balance between educational activities and self-directed play. Playtime should be long enough for children to develop an imagined scenario and practice regulatory skills during it. This is a stage on which they can practice things they will need later in school. And for this, they need time to build the entire play experience, to complete it, and even to become bored with it," Yosefachka said. I must say that brings back memories from my childhood when everything was done with your imagination. Didn't have a lot of the fancy battery-operated gizmos that kids play with now. Okay, enough editorializing. Let's take our last break. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Am-Pol Eagle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Learn about the Polish poet of enchanted existence on YouTube. There is a photograph of an elderly gentleman. Looks like a Jadek. And underneath it reads Bolesław Leszmian. The current episode of Polish Poetry Unites introduces to American audience the life and work of Bolesław Leszmian. The YouTube presentation by the Polish Cultural Institute in New York, it can be found on YouTube, but there's no point in reciting this extremely long website. I mean, you can go to YouTube, and then I guess I would search for Bolesław Leszmian or Polish Cultural Institute. Either one of those should get you close. Following the foreword by Edward Hirsch about the life and work of the poet, the video showcases the story of Kinga Filara, a high school student from Starachowice, Poland, who presents Leszmian's poem, The Secret, in translation of Joanna Trzeciak-Huss. Hirsch states, quote, "Leszmian is a remarkable figure in Polish poetry. He is born in 1877. He died in 1937. He's writing at a time when Polish literature was very nationalistic, filled with political and social concerns. He took Polish poetry in another direction. in a more inward, psychological, philosophical direction. Quote, he's hard to get a handle on because he was so formally inventive. His work is filled with neologisms and a very experimental syntax. He's a cosmopolitan person, the first European poet, really, to bring the techniques of symbolism and expressionism into Polish poetry. End quote. So again, youtube.com, Bowisław Leszmian, or Polish Cultural Institute, and poetry. Got a couple polkas on tap. Sunday, March 15th, we've got a St. Patrick's and St. Joseph's Day polka dance. It's at Potts Banquet Hall, 41 South Rossler Avenue in Cheektowaga, New York, 3 to 7 p.m. $10 will get you in the door. New Direction will have you dancing. Wednesday, March 18th, a Polka Boosters meeting. It's at the Polish Falcons at 445 Columbia Avenue in Depew. Doors open at 7 p.m., music beginning at 7:30, featuring the Kaisertown Polka Band. Okay, got a couple recipes here. Polish potato dishes, and this is from the Polish Heritage Cookery, available at Amazon.com, and it's by Robert and Maria Stibel. First, we have a potato and mushroom casserole. What's not to love? I like potatoes. I love mushrooms. All right, let's see here. Wash well 16 ounces of fresh, wild, or store-bought mushrooms, drain, and dice. Chop 3 onions and brown lightly in 3 to 4 tablespoons of fat, and you can use butter, oleo, lard, or oil. Along with the mushrooms, stirring constantly. Fork blend a 3/4 cup of sour cream until creamy and stir into the mushrooms. Simmer briefly, cover and set aside. Peel and wash 2 to 2.5 pounds of potato. Slice, place in a pot, scald with boiling salted water to cover, and cook about 10 minutes. Drain. Butter a casserole and line the bottom with layers of potatoes, salt, and pepper, and top with a layer of creamed mushrooms, followed by potatoes and creamed mushrooms until all are used up. Top layer should be creamed mushrooms. Cover and bake in a 350-degree oven for 60 to 80 minutes or until potatoes are tender. Before serving, sprinkle with chopped fresh parsley and or dill. That sounds like an awfully long time to bake a casserole where the potatoes have been pre-cooked or parboiled. Although I think 10 minutes with in boiling water for sliced potatoes, and I'm sure they're almost like a scalloped potato, so they'd be sliced pretty thin. That sounds a little long. So if you're going to do this, and it does sound yummy, keep an eye on it. Start with maybe a half hour. If it's bubbling, take it out. Okay, now here's another one, potato and mushroom cake. Cook 5 to 6 peeled potatoes in boiling salted water. Drain well and mash, adding 1.5 tablespoons butter and 5 tablespoons chopped parsley. Wash well 16 ounces of fresh store-bought mushrooms, dice and saute in 2 tablespoons of butter until tender. Add mushrooms to potatoes together with 4 raw egg yolks and 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. Mix well and salt and pepper to taste. Beat 4 egg whites to a stiff froth. Salt lightly and beat some more. Then fold into the mixture. Transfer the mixture to a well-buttered casserole and bake at 350 degrees for 35 to 40 minutes. Serve portions drenched with mushroom sauce or sour cream sauce, generously garnished with dill, and a crispy salad on the side. Well, if the first one didn't sound good, this one really sounds delicious. I'll bet it turns into almost a souffle, a potato and mushroom souffle with those eggs and egg whites to puff it up. Oh, doesn't that sound divine? I'm definitely going to have to make those. We have a reminder here about the Pazanki making class. This is on the back page. Saturday, March 21st, learn the art of making decorated Polish Easter eggs. Now you can, they only have 12 people per session, and it's only $25. And I've taken the class, and it is totally, totally worth it. They have so many different colors of dyes, so many different patterns that you can use on your eggs. Absolutely wonderful. The eggs are provided. Everything is there. You don't have to do a thing. The wax, everything you need. So again, March 21st, 2026, from 10 a.m. to noon or 2 p.m. to 4. And this is at the Am-Pol Eagle Buffalo Standard Printing Office, 3620 Harlem Road in Cheektowaga, New York, Suite 4. There's plenty of parking. What else can I tell you? It's just easy to find. And then there's a $15 butter lamb class on Saturday, March 28th. There's a class at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 1 p.m. So you can get up early and go and take a nap, or you can sleep in and skip the nap and go to a later class. I'm going to give you the number to register for both. 716-983-5084. Again, 716-983-5084. It also mentions that sessions can be added for groups. If you already have a group of 12, they can make arrangements, and that home parties are available. Oh man, would have loved to see my family working on a butter lamb. The last time my mother tried to make a butter lamb, it looked like a bulldog. We never let her live it down. Okay, photos here. The life and work of A.P. Gorney is on exhibit at Buffalo and Erie County Central Library's Rare Book Room. For 50 years, he has worked as printmaker, photographer, sculptor, bookmaker, performer. The Buffalo-born Yale Fellow's work also resides in the Vatican Library, Guggenheim, and Library of Congress. The Rare Book Room exhibit is on view through fall of 2026. An exhibit at the Western New York Book Arts Center, 468 Washington Street in Buffalo, New York, will be on view through Saturday, March 21st. The exhibit is free and open to the public. There are some photographs showing some of his work. Time to wrap up. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the March 5th, 2026 issue of the Am-Pol Eagle. We read from the Am-Pol Eagle every Saturday at 3 p.m. Your reader has been Joanne Yanitsky. Thank you for listening. Do widzenia.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the Grand Island Niagara County Tribune Sentinel. At 5 o'clock, we have the Lockport Union Southern Journal. And at 6 o'clock, we've got the Wall Street Journal Off Duty. Stay tuned for these readings and more. If you're listening to this publication online, you're probably using our website, a podcast player like Spotify or iTunes, a streaming service like Zero, or a smart speaker. Did you know that we now have a dedicated app that can be downloaded to any mobile device, like a smartphone or tablet, for free? App users can conveniently access our live stream and any episode of our podcast easier than ever. To download the app, just type NFRRS in the search window in the Apple App Store or in the Google Play Store. Contact us anytime if you have any questions by calling 716-821-5555, extension 5. Thank you. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print